Hey Weirdos, it's Cosmic Nomad, my once again. So, today's episode is really a fun one. This is Tony, an amazing cinematographer based in Toronto, and he's very driven, which I love people like that, because they're on the same, always creating, always pushing, and not waiting for gatekeepers. So, you can find Tony on Instagram at BYANANSE, an amazing cinematographer. So check out the episode. Peace. Move it this
How's,
way.
how was your trip, bro? Are you back or are you still?
No, I'm still in the States right now, currently.
Yeah, this guy living his best life, man.
It's perspective. Look, in this world, it's really perspective. At the end of the day, it's people perceive one thing about you, but it's not always the reality. If you think about it's not always the
Yeah,
reality. But I am grateful that I can do this. You know, there could like everyone
amen.
has this ideal, and then I have another ideal for myself. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's yeah, the
You
person
can
that
show him the idea of yourself.
yeah the person
Which
that
one?
people know and the reality of it all is there's two different things going on. Like
Of course.
people might say you're dope as shit, like you and everything, like you're dope, but in your mind you're like I'm fucking shit. I gotta get better. I gotta get better. You know?
I just that my perspective of you and the perspective of somebody else is completely different.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Some people like, bro, this guy is trash, and I'm like, oh, yo, this guy's lit, bro. He's in fucking the state. What the?
Perception is the name of the game, and in the industry that you're in and we're in, it's the name of the game. You know what I mean? It's all
First, first.
perception. And if you
Yeah,
know
man.
how to play the game, play the game.
Like, you know how to play the game. Yeah, bro. For me, that's why I don't really fight people's perspective on me because I'm like, everybody's gonna have their own perspective of you. You can't really change that. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of why God made us who we are. It's like no matter what, somebody's gonna have a perspective of you, and it's just like because that day you were just having a terrible day and you have to cuss. You're like, yo, this man, bro, he's an asshole. You're like, God damn, because I cussed once. Okay, so shit.
Yeah, it's. But at the end of the day, like I said, you're only in control of you and what you can actually have in your hands.
Hmm.
And I'm grateful that I was taught not to give a fuck about what people think about me. Like, you know how a lot of
Yeah,
Africans and a lot of immigrants, our parents come to this country and then they're like, shame, and like be afraid of don't let people see you do this or this and that and this.
yeah,
But luckily, my mom was like, who gives a fuck what people think? You're not causing trouble. You're not an asshole. You know what I mean? As long as you're not
yeah.
that, who cares what they say? You know the reality. That's not, there's a reality to this thing. Yeah.
Oh, hey, hopefully you had a parent that tell you that. For me, that was one of the biggest thing I battled with growing up is perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Because growing up, my dad was like always put me like my dad had a school and he was doing a lot of stuff and I will always be put like at the front head and all eyes are always constantly on me. So it gave me a lot of anxiety. So when I came to this country and I become from a African to a black person and now it's just like, you're walking around on like fucking eggshells and you're just like,
Yep.
oh, who doesn't like black people? Who likes me? Who don't? Because your parent fucking put this shit in your head where it's like, oh, watch out where you go, blah blah. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me a while for me to get, because like that's just started affecting me when I go to work. I'm like, it's like I give a fuck about what these white people think. And back in the days, I was like, oh my God, be racist. Oh, oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, but now I've got to a place I'm like, I don't give a fuck what you think about me. You don't pay for my bills. You don't even pay for the razor you to shave the fucking hair of my balls. You don't mean shit to me, bro. Get the fuck out of my face, man.
That's all it
And
is.
it took a, because they said the industry we in, if you care, bro, you're gonna fucking tear your shit, you'll put yourself apart.
100%. It's
Oh,
I yeah. Like I love
this person
Chappelle.
don't like me.
Yeah, I love
Yeah, but
Chappelle because he's like, if he's like talking about people in their weak spirit and stuff like that, if little things that really don't stop you from what you're doing, yeah, they're shitty, but it's a brittle spirit. So you have to have tougher skin. You have to keep moving, and don't let people essentially know your cards. If you put all your
yeah.
cards right there and you're just like, hey, this is all the shit that I got, and then people are just gonna use that against you at the end of the day. You know.
Oh, for sure. It's always when they say fear people, it's not a joke, like especially in the industry and you work with so many people, so many characters and all that. And for me, I just turned 25, it took me a while for me to get to this perspective. But like I said, it's like when you put yourself in the perspective where you always kind of like walk on that eggshells, it's just, it limits you. It limits you from just growing. It limits you because you're always like, oh my God, this person, this. And growing up, I had a lot of anxiety. Like, I didn't even really share this with that many people, like maybe like my partner. And I still had when I was growing up, I couldn't even cross the street by myself because I was super terrified.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of anxiety, and I still have anxiety, but I found a way to kind of cope with it. I know who I am. And but back in those days, it was hard because and also I didn't really. My dad brought me to Canada, and he's like, "All right, my job is done. Yeah, nigga, fuck off." Right? And that's literally how it was. He brought me to Canada, and that's it. Didn't really then do anything else. Didn't really take me to school. Didn't pay for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even first year I came to Canada, he was there, and then after that, he left me for like a year. I was like 15, 16. I was by myself for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty lonely place, like, being African and being sheltered so much and being told that, oh, don't interact with this person, da, da, da. So it was really hard living by myself. And also a lot of trial and error, a lot of situations of being used emotionally, physically, just mentally, just all over the place. And I was just like, bro, as Africans, that's one of our biggest things. That's what kind of like limits us the most, which is giving a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And because of slavery, we've always been put in a place of it's just of black people. It's just because I was even having a conversation with my David Kaza, the guy that performed I
Yeah.
actually was having the same conversation with him today, and I was like, I go to work I go to work, and then like this black woman comes to me. She's a COVID coordinator. She comes to me. She was like, "Oh, what role are you playing on set?" And that's it. I was the first. And then she was just, oh, you were first. Oh my God, this is huge for us people. And I was like, okay, like, all right.
Yeah, there's this pressure that is placed upon you,
Yeah.
and I like on one hand you understand it, on the other hand you're like, listen, at a certain point in this world we got to be seen as individuals, and if
hmm
we're always tied to the collective,
hmm
then it's not going to be good. You just
And the collective's
constantly,
huge.
yeah,
The collective is so huge. Like being black is just one of the most diverse things you can ever fucking
yes,
be.
yes,
Mentally, physically, emotional. It's just so much. And in this generational gap. So what you were saying that I'm like, bro, you're not saying anything wrong, you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
But you also have to understand that like a lot of this problem still stems from our own community of like limitations. Like our own community, we put a lot of limitations on. So like for example, growing up, I told my dad one day, the day that I decided I wanted to become a filmmaker, I was disowned. I was kicked out of the house. I was like, dude, like, bro, like you don't want to do shit with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But what it is like if I took that and was like, oh my God, my dad has disowned me. What am I gonna do? But it was not a surprising thing. The man technically disowned me from a long time ago when he left me fucking here in Canada. So
Mm.
like for me, I was like, oh, fuck,
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck, nigga. So then that was the motivation for me to be like, fuck, I'm gonna move to Canada, I'm gonna move to Toronto, I'm gonna start my own career. And I've been by myself. It's been a very harsh thing, but it's also been a very educating thing. I just, and then, I hear her perspective, and she's like, yeah, this is big for our people. And I was even telling my friend, like, cause of that, I'm like, during your time, there was nothing, something that like a fucking smartphone wasn't even a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Well, internet wasn't a thing. You came from the caveman days. This is my time, and the time I live in a really different time. And if you don't get that concept out of your head, you're gonna really limit yourself where whenever you get an opportunity, you're supposed like yes, celebrate opportunities, but
Yeah.
don't celebrate it for always the community and like, oh, for the no. Like, do I always sit there and think about my community? That's a fucking lie. I don't do that.
The reality, see, the funny thing is, the reality is, if all you did is only think about the community, you would be acting more safe. Like, you wouldn't take any risks to progress the community.
Yeah,
You know what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
It takes
Fucking walking on
individuals.
eggshells.
Yeah, it takes individuals and outliers to change a community. You need somebody that breaks away and doesn't say fuck you to the community. It just says, listen, I got to do this. And if I
Yeah.
succeed, then
It's
then
community,
then
yeah,
yeah,
living
yeah, yeah.
community.
But if you start with only that, then yeah, it's
Because either way, if I succeed, people are gonna look at me. Either way, whatever I do, I'm gonna be black. Everything
one
I
hundred
do, I'm
percent,
constantly
100%.
representing the
You're not
community.
gonna be a director. You're gonna be a black director.
Black
You're
director,
not gonna
a
be a
black,
musician. You're gonna be a black
a
musician
black
or a
musician.
rapper. Even though you're not, or even if you were not a rapper, you're like people assume you're a rapper. It's
Yeah,
hilarious. It's
but
fuck.
that's what when people come to you, and like I've had a lot of older heads try to always be like, you gotta think about it. For example, I've been part of a lot of like like small organizations where like we're helping the BIPOC people, and I'm like, yeah, cool. And for me, I think like those organizations actually hurt the community a lot because it's just like, a lot of black kids come in because they're like, I just finished high school, or like, I'm just I just as a youth, when a youth comes to you and they needs guidance, it has nothing to do with their skin or color. That's nothing to do with who they are. It's literally a youth who just seeking help. Because especially in your 20s is when you're like, bro, what is my next step? I just came from being a fucking kid. I
Hmm.
came from walking to my diaper. I went to kindergarten. Like that's 18 years of my life of programming, of
Hmm.
being told what to do,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. So now in my 20s where I've now found some sort of identity. What do I do with myself? And this is the time where, like, the older heads who are like maybe 2 decades ahead of us, a decade ahead. I mean, like, something, it's okay for you not to know. It's okay for you to not fucking know shit. It's not okay for you to be like, bro, I'm so lost. I have no clue. It's okay to be like, bro, I woke up and I don't know where my next money is gonna come from. But the problem is, well, for example, my journey, like, when I became 20 and then like, and I decided to discover film, nobody came to me and just like, it's okay
Hmm.
for you to fuck up. It's just, I was like, the film is perfect because everybody's perfect. And then I started, the more I was in film, I'm like, bro, just because somebody looks like you, just because somebody seems like to be the same group or age group, and you doesn't mean some people has 10 year experience. Some people get it got in film. I always say everybody has their time, right? For example, me with my daughter, right? And when I first had my daughter, a lot of people like, you gotta be older to have a kid, da, 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 right? But the reality is the world we live in, everybody's living their own timeline. And in my
Yes.
timeline, I have a kid at 25 because that's what benefits my soul, it benefits my future. That's
Yes.
basically how my future is shaped, right? But a lot of people, especially in this world, when you come in your 20s and you're looking into the world of just like, it's like basically like the internet, so much fucking shit going on, so
Hmm.
many branches, da da da, and you don't know what branch to take because everybody seems like they're perfect. The DPs seem like they're perfect.
Yeah.
The producers seem that they're perfect. That nobody sits down. So when a program like, because I was part of I don't know if you know
Is it CFC?
C, no, it's C for Black
Oh, it's a
youths.
black
It's like,
organization.
yeah, Black organization. And then up C, they did a program, a PA program, but they were in collaborating with like there's something called POV Third Street.
Hmm.
It's also another organization. And then they were all and I remember the program, it was a PA program. PA is not like it's just you fucking hard work, blah, 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 blah. Instead of them teaching that, they were teaching about how, oh, if you want to say you just quiet, you just blah, blah. If you just, it's like we weren't teaching us to be included. We were teaching us to just go help these white people.
Hmm.
Because example, like we were graduating and they like, oh, you're a director of photography, but I wasn't really doing anything of fucking director of photography. They just gave me the sign. I was like, yo, make me do something director of photography. Just standing here. Like,
Hmm.
yes, I'm included, but I'm not really gaining the skill. And that day, um, the news people came in, and it was constant anxiety, and all of black kids will put us. It felt like a fucking auction. It felt like a slavery auction. All these
Mm.
white people there talking, like, yeah, we did a program about. I'm like, why can't we just do something and just do it? Because you
No,
genuinely
it's a
wanted to do
show.
it for the
It's
community.
as they say, a dog and pony show. What usually it is, hey, look, check it out.
Yeah.
I got to support these kids, and then they're BIPOC and all those other things. It's rather than just saying, listen, all kids need help,
Hmm.
and any kid that comes to you, help them. I understand. Yes, there's marginalized communities where they don't have access to, but at the end of the day, it's also because of the culture in that community. We have access in this day and age. There's no excuse. You have literally access to all information on your phone. Parents do, because
Yeah.
parents are like
my age. Like I'm not to date and say how old I am, but essentially it's like parents have kids that are, 15 and stuff like that, or 12. You have access to all these things. You just have to take the time. So there's no more excuse in saying that these people don't have access to information. That's bullshit.
Have
Everybody has
information.
everybody has a cell phone. Fucking Africa from Somalia has like people sending you money through a fucking phone, a Nokia
Yeah.
brick phone. Like what does that tell
Yep.
you? So there's no more excuses. So right now it's more of uh, showing that you're helping the community, showing that you're not racist, showing that you're not, this. So there's a level
That's
of that
uh,
that is in plain sight that I disagree with. There are people
I
that genuinely,
strongly.
yeah, there's people that
Yeah.
genuinely want to help, and
Yeah.
but they're indiscriminately helping everybody that they can,
Yep. Yeah.
that needs help. But you can tell who's not, and it's just for the show.
Yeah. Oh, I've been in so many, especially right after the COVID Black Lives Movement and all that fucking shit. Oh my God, the Black Lives Movement thing just showed me how much like corny people we have in our community. Like, oh my God, bro. It was such a
It's
terrible
sad.
moment. I
It's
had so many
sad.
black people message me like, "Oh, you want to go march?" I'm like, "March for what? Tell me what we're marching for. Tell me what we're achieving from this. If you can give me, because my nigga, I'm tired. My grandpa march, my great grandpa march, and niggas have been marching. My slippers hurt. I ain't gonna match, my nigga. You see, either we coming up with a fucking solution, we're walking into fucking Cruder's house and we're like, see, like white people, if they wanted something, they went into the White House. These niggas like, we're not leaving. What did the white people do? They were like, fuck it.
Both didn't
Black
change
people,
anything.
yeah,
The
still
issue,
didn't
no,
change shit.
look, the issue is this: we're not thinking with logic and reasoning.
Hmm.
We're thinking only with emotions. Like, don't get me wrong, I
That's
love
how they get us,
emotions.
though.
My work is emotional, but I'm saying is if we're
Yeah,
not using logic to
yeah,
solve the problem and even the root cause of the problem, not just the
yep.
somebody gets killed and then people march. I'm like, what is really that? What's that going to do? You have to go to the root fucking cause of the problem. But no,
Yes.
but
Again, they just there's a movie that this director did. I don't know if you've seen this movie called Black Bottoms. I haven't actually not ever had the chance to
is
watch
a
it, but
Canadian one?
it's a Canadian one.
Yeah, there's
But
a
that
few of those that
director,
came out around the same time. It's like
yeah,
everybody
eh,
jumped on that, and I was like, it's easy hanging fruit because it's an old topic that is, yes, it's still in our
well,
society, but it's like easy hanging fruit. Like
and
anyone can
people are
write
gonna
a, yeah,
tell it.
yeah.
And again, if I go write a fucking movie about black brutality, oh my God, I'll win on a fucking Oscar right now. Like on God, it doesn't even have to be good.
No, no, it
I
doesn't.
just
It
will
doesn't.
write, and they will be like, "Oh my God, oh shit, he did something different, bro. Oh my God. You seen how the nigga got shot in the film?" I'm like, bro, so listen, I'm not saying what you're not doing is wrong, but what it is it also kind of continues the trauma of like the hate and all that. It's like, what are we doing to revise the community? It's basically it's like it's in slavery. We as black people, we're very emotional people. Like emotion is what controls us. That's
Yeah,
why there's so many fucking you go to Africa, there's so many tribes. It's because the reason why there's tribes, that's when black people say, my nigga, I'm gonna do my shit, they gonna do their shit. And that's how like this nigga's like, I'm gonna do my shit, and this nigga like, I fuck with you. I'm gonna join you.
yeah,
We start the Muntaba tribe. You're like, okay, cool, nigga. We set the rules, well, but if you want to be part of it, be part of it. If not, but that's how white people also fucked it up a lot. That's what it is. It's like now, as black people, we're the most diverse culturally and all that, but now we've all been put in a boxes. It's like, oh, you niggas are all the same, blah blah. The struggle of a fucking black American and the struggle of a black African is completely different. And I mean, me coming from Africa, I will
mm-hmm.
always have a perspective of like, bro, there's niggas back home that's going through shit. Who their brainwash is even deeper than yours. They will put the white man before you,
Yeah.
and that
That's
one's
the
even
thing that
worse.
I saw when I grew up here because I came actually to the U.S. first, and
Yeah.
then we decided to go to Canada. And growing up, I would see more recent African immigrants coming to Canada, and they would be, it's not only African but like Indian, South Asian.
Mm-hmm.
They would treat white people at a high level, and I'm like,
Of course.
what are you doing? What the fuck are, and you would treat me like shit. One of your own was like literally like get it, like you see it in films, like, and you see it in comedies, like you see in
Uh-huh.
your own country's comedies, and like you see it, it's like it's fucked. But
But it's the brainwash
it is a
though.
brainwashing thing. And but also here too, you come here and you get brainwashed because
Mm-hmm.
it's a cycle. Whoever's projecting this whole thing or keeps it in the cycle is obviously us, not individually me
Yeah.
and you, but and essentially the collective of black is constantly
Hmm.
portraying the same thing over and over in a cycle, in an endless cycle. It's like being in a
Hmm.
nightmare constantly, even though the nightmare happened. Sometimes it frequently happens, but then the real shit happened years and like centuries ago. It just cycle, and all they want to do is make you relive this thing.
What?
And I'm like, how are we gonna grow from this if we just keep reliving? It's good to know your history. That
Yeah.
100% agree, because then you can solve the problems for the future and not repeat. But if all you're doing is regurgitating the same thing from a different angle, the same thing from another angle, and then I'm like, what is
It's
this? It's
and I
like
get what
torture
you
porn.
mean.
It's like torture porn. Like, what are you doing?
It is torture porn. It is, and it's like
Like, do we not
it's
do
a
other
hate,
jobs? Are we not more than what that is?
bro. Because what it is like it's basically we all sitting in front of like a TV with our eyes open, and it's like the fucking
It's
content
Clockwork
item is
Orange.
just like playing.
Clockwork Orange when they
Ex
open the eyes
exactly.
purposely and then like
Yeah.
making them watch
It's
horrible shit constantly. Yeah, yeah,
for example, I grew up on a lot of American movies, right? And people, media also plays a great part because if, for example, you have Africans back home never seen TV, and the first time they turn on the TV, the first person they see is a white person.
mm-hmm.
And it's just like going back to the first time the white man came to Africa, and it was like Jesus is white, and they were like, oh shit, nigga, damn, right? Same shit. Turn on the TV, you have Hollywood. Everything is perfect. That's why Hollywood is such a fucking dangerous place to the culture, to people, blah blah. Because what it is always about how they start something, right? And how they started is Hollywood was started by the FBI because it's a great way for them to kind of like program the masses. Was before people had access. That's what was back before, the 70s and the 60s when like, oh, the man just goes to work and the man with the woman stays home and just steals all the
Oh, it's
kids. Oh,
programming. It's
Bobby,
programming.
it's
It's
all
called.
the
It's literally
programming,
programming. The wording is like
right?
programming.
It's television. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, I'm programming you. That's what, like, oh, changing channels, blah blah, right?
yeah,
So a lot of Africans growing up watching TV, blah blah, right? You gain a lot of respect for the white because that's all you see,
mm-hmm.
white perfection, white, and it's the small things that drop in the scenes, and for you, you just like, oh, I'm white, but subconsciously your mind is absorbing the whiteness, the dimming of your light, the dim of like you're not good enough because whenever you watch a movie that has an African in it, it's either a slave or the nigga works for somebody
Yeah,
or he's a fucking pirate or you never portrayed in anything, right? And that's what when now you're growing up, because again, it goes back to the medieval times where people always we talk about, oh, when people talk about the Dark Ages, and they're like, oh, the Dark Ages gone. The Dark Ages really what it meant was an age where white people made sure to destroy everything black and made it white. And anything that was considered black was considered evil. Anything that's what now like you talk about blackness, people automatically assume black is evil,
mm-hmm.
white is good, black is evil, white is good, black
Yeah.
is evil, white is good, black is evil. So and I'm like again, if if you keep abusing somebody's mind and just tell them that you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not
Yeah.
good enough,
Or
eventually you
you're a
start
victim.
believing
Not even a good up. You're a victim. In these days, it's
a
you're a
victim.
victim. You
Exactly.
have no power. You have no autonomy. You have no
Hmm.
way to break out from the system, which is bullshit. Total
Yep.
bullshit. And because look, it makes ratings right now. Currently, current world that we're living in, and sadly, in a certain way, the current industry that we're in,
Yeah.
is you're a victim. There's
Hmm.
nothing else you can do about it, even though you can, and we all know we can. It's political, it's financial, it's all these things we can do to change the system. But then
Yeah.
the narrative is you're a victim, and that's it, nothing else.
Hmm.
And that's all programming. There are, don't get me wrong, there's
But
outliers in terms of these. Like I love a show. Like there was a show that got canceled called Lovecraft Country.
oh, I love Lovecraft.
I
Yeah.
love that was us, and they canceled it.
Lovecraft's amazing. Of
I was like, what
course.
the fuck? I was like, what are you doing?
They can only give us one season.
Like it
Come on.
had, don't get me wrong, it had like the racist aspect because it's the reality of the time. But then it
Hmm.
also had this magical shit. It had this cool sci-fi shit. It had everything, and I was like, finally a show that has everything without pandering to you. You know what I mean? It was so well balanced and funky and cool. Good actors. I was like, what the this? And they canceled it.
Because they know. Because
They
at first,
canceled it.
sometimes they accept films because they, the people on the top, they accept it. They're like, like, we're just trying to produce these. But eventually, when they know the people, because it was such a good, what would you cancel? Because they know that it was just showing people that black people are not one fucking dimensional.
Yeah.
Just, for example, when I first moved to Canada and I moved to Calgary, blah, 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 and went to school and then, introduced myself. My name is Tony. And then all of a sudden, the kids started calling me Coney. I had no clue who the fuck Coney was.
Comey?
And Coney, the serial
Oh
killer, like,
my.
yeah,
Yeah, the guy.
yeah, the
Is it?
genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You came at that
For me,
time.
I,
Wow.
I didn't even I didn't even know what that is. And I was like, Coney, blah, 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 blah. And for me, it's like I come from an African, and I lived as an African kid, but now all of a sudden the perspective of a black kid, like I remember my friends were asking, "Do you know how to rap?" And I'm like, "No." And they were like, "How you black and you can't rap?" And I was like, "Huh." And for me as a kid, I like that. I was just like, again, it's all about trying to fit in. So all of a sudden, you were just like, "No, I can rap, master. I can tap dance for you right now. I swear I'm a nigger. I'm telling you, nigga blood run through my veins. I'm telling you, look at the skin. I'm not a
Yeah.
fake nigga, right? So
Yeah.
I'll just and I make more of a fucking fool of myself. Da da da.
Yeah.
Playing basketball, they're like, you can't play basketball. You black. Why can't you black? I'm so sorry, master. I put on my black dancing basketball hat.
No, because they themselves are also are programmed to believe a certain stereotype that if you're this, you're good at this. If you're this, if you're good at that. Don't get me
Yeah, of
wrong. There's certain truths to certain things, rhythm and all
course.
that. But then there are outliers, just like a whole spectrum of people that are African that can't dance,
Mm-hmm.
can't sing, can't rap, can't do anything really, just like everyone else in the world.
Because people are people.
Yeah.
People are people.
So
And again, if you look at NBA is basically gladiators. For me, I see sports as gladiators. Like back in the days when they had a fucking Coliseum, and then Caesar's like, finish you, shorty.
yeah, yeah.
That's what it
But
is.
here's the fucked up thing that those certain, like, I understand if you're standing up for like atrocities and you're using that as a platform. I understand that. But to say that you're a victim right now, listen, you're a fucking multimillionaire. You
You
can
get
leave at any
paid
point.
millions
You get to
to sit
leave
on
at
a
any
fucking
point.
chair.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't want to hear anybody on in those like those leagues getting paid millions saying I'm a victim of what.
Not a
Dude,
fucking victim.
you can literally leave, go to
Hmm.
Africa, or like right now, I keep telling people that are not like from a certain African country, that are African American or Caribbean or anything like that, like you can get a citizenship in Ghana. You can get a citizenship in Ghana because that whole year of return. And I'm like, if you want outside, get the fuck out of U.S. You know what I mean? But people
Yeah,
don't
it's
realize
the
these
program.
shits. It's the programming
If they
that this is the
know,
only way, or I'm a
it's also the
victim.
program. Again, victim, and the program also tells you don't want to go to Africa. Like I remember too, when I was young, I remember this white girl came up to me. She was like, "Oh, in Africa, do you guys sleep on trees?" I will never forget this. I was like, "What?" It's like, "Do you guys sleep on trees?" I was like, I remember that day. It was like so fucked up. About again, I was in a place where I would always belittle myself, so I would laugh. I'm just like, "Ah, ha, 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 oh yeah, no, yeah, we
That's
sleep,"
fucked.
and it was fun, right? But a lot of black kids are put through that. I mean, the stereotype of we live in a place of very like the program is if you don't want to try, you just assume that people are some way. You know what I mean? And as time's going on, we just time for me, bro, I've never been a sports guy. I've never been a sports guy. And back in the days, I used to be like, "No, bro, it's not in me. It's never gonna be in me." I like working out when it comes to bodybuilding. I'm a great bodybuilder, but I am not a sports guy. I'm a video game guy. I'm a creative. That's what I do.
Hmm.
That's my channel. But I've been put in many places where people think they can embarrass me because I'm black. Da, da, da. Even last time I was working on set was a commercial. The same set, the black woman was like, "Oh God, us is so big." And I'm like, okay. And the
Yeah.
director had a basketball, and we were shooting at a basketball court. And then I told the my second, I was like, "Yo, I bet you I'm gonna dunk this. $20. I was dunk this shit right there. I know I can dunk, but I wanted to see. I want to see if you actually believe it." Bro, this man was like, "Of course." But the problem is when he said, "of course," I was like, "Why do you think of course?" He's like, bro, come on, man, you can do it. And I'm like, cause in your head, like, he's black. There's no way he can't fucking dunk. I was like,
It's
okay,
weird.
cool.
Don't get me
Knock up the
wrong.
ball.
It's hilarious to hear shit like that. It is. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
bother me as much as it used to, unless it's like in your face blatant racism and like with
yeah,
anger and hate. Like
yeah.
it's you
Oh,
can't miss that. But
yeah,
most people are ignorant. You
yeah.
know what I'm trying to say? And they just know one thing, or they take the safe route and they take the stereotypical safe route, right? And
Yeah,
it like there's a lot of people that are too, and also there's a lot of sensitive people nowadays that like
yeah.
everything. This is your racist. Like, and I'm listen. On average,
It's
most
not.
people are not as racist as you think. They're misguided. They're
Mm-hmm.
confused. They don't know shit. But if all you do is call them racist for not knowing something, then all you're
Mm-hmm.
doing is making. I said this on my Instagram one time. I was like, basically, rather than calling somebody all these names, listen, educate them, and then
Yep.
they become an informed ally rather than a clueless ally that later on will basically, you know, go against you. You know,
Yeah.
so it's
It's
just
basically pouring oil into fire. You know, you see fire burning, and you instead of telling the person that has the bottle of oil, like that's oil. You should go get water. You just wait for them to pour the oil in the fire, and then you just say, man, nigga, you just mean the fire spread more. The nigga's like, bro, you didn't tell me. You know something? Fuck you, bro. I was just trying to help.
that's yeah. You
All I
gotta
need.
yeah. You can't just like say you're a piece of shit without telling them what they did or even if they did anything wrong. Just because they
Everybody's a
don't,
piece of
no
shit.
one has to, no one has to understand you. No one's forced to understand you. Everyone's an
Exactly.
individual, right? But if people take the time and you allow them to take the time and you have the fucking patience to sit down with them, that's a huge thing for somebody. If somebody sat down with me and told me like, "Oh, I don't understand this. Can you please help me? I don't understand." And you say you're a piece of shit, get the fuck out of my face, and I'm like, "What the hell?" Then I'm not going to be on your side later on. Go fuck yourself too. So if this is the
Um,
world we're living in, it's literally just yelling at each other. There's no talking. It's
for
just
example, grade when I was on set, my second was a white boy, and I want to finish the story about the basketball.
yeah,
So I
yeah, go
go
for
for
it. Yeah, yeah,
basketball.
yeah.
I pretend like I know I can't play basketball, but I pretending I was going in, but all of them are watching. Like the white boys are lined up, the niggas are lined up, and as I'm going, I slip, the ball bounced, but everybody's disappointed. Like, oh my god, bro, like that. And for me, I'm like, you think I genuinely think I could play basketball? I know I can't play basketball. I want to see. I just literally wanted to see. You know? The director comes. The director's like, "How can you not play basketball?" I'm like, "Cause I don't know how to fucking play basketball." He takes the ball out, swish, swish. I'm like, "Good for you. You the black guy that knows how to play basketball." Oh, wait, great, thank you, good for you. And then the AD comes to me, this old white man. He's just like, "How old are you?" I'm like 25. He's like, "When I was your age, man, I would have slayed that." I was like, "Good for you. What do you want me to do? Go get you a bottle of wine?" Bro, listen, everybody's built different. Everybody's different. Maybe in your time you were
Mm-hmm.
a huge basketball player, blah, blah. That's not for me. But then I went to my second and I was like, "You see what I mean?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Because I'm black. Everybody here assumed he should know how to fucking dunk or do something,
Mm-hmm.
right?" But you could have also assumed that maybe I was just playing. I also don't. And then for me, the disappointment, I mean, laugh. It's okay to be disappointed, but don't expect.
Yeah.
Because in the world we have disappointment left and right. So I was talking to him, I'm like, and I showed him, I was like, I did that to show you that the problem in my community is we don't support each other. We also put each other in the boxes. We don't make it either better. When I slipped, that black guy could have came to me and be like, "Yo, brother, it's okay, man. Bro, shit, fuck it. Give me the ball. I shoot it." Instead of trying to make me feel like I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough for a black man. He didn't do that. He went into it and it was showing his blackness. Well, but I'm like, for me, I don't give a fuck.
Well, that's
If the
ego.
broski
That's an ego thing. It's an ego thing.
and a lot of black community is always ego. We have the biggest ego. The ego of thinking that we are great is because as black people, we don't fear other communities, but
Mm-hmm.
all the other communities fear us. If, for
Yeah.
example, if you hear like an Asian man beat up a black man, all of a sudden you're like Asian man beat up a black man. That's not possible. Niggas are supposed to be Superman. They're supposed to be Samson. They're supposed to be able to split the fucking rocks into two. But you don't understand that humans are humans. If somebody is
Yeah.
skilled, if somebody
Yeah.
can fight, they can fight. They will whoop your ass. They will
Yeah.
whoop your ass.
Oh yeah.
Nothing to do with your skin,
Yeah.
right? So, and I was telling them, I was like, in our community, the funny part is the place I've got right now in my career. was not because of a black man. It was because of a white man who gave me a chance and was just like, yo, come on my set and I would train you. But
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the funny part is that white man, I did not have to ask him. The opportunity came, he opened his arms and he allowed me to come. But I have won up to black people and I've poured my heart out, poured my career. I've showed them I can do the work, and I'll still deny the chance of working because as black people in our community, there can only be one.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's because
Only be
that's
one that's doing it.
yeah, yeah.
And then
It's
for him, it was such a culture shock for him. He was like, "What?" And I'm like, "It's okay for you to not to know that. Of course, you're not gonna do that. You're not black. Just like in your community, there's so much problems that go in your community that you don't tell me, and I'll be like, oh shit, but like yes, I know something about white people, but I barely know anything about white people because white people come on so many different spectrum.
mm-hmm.
There's Russian whites, there's Italian whites, there's so many white people, and they all come with their own barriers and it's their own problem. Jewish whites, just because Jewish is just a religion, you just fucking white with a big ass nose, but you just white. But every community has its own problem. And I was telling them, just like, I'm telling you this because I'm not coming to you like, oh my God, blah, blah. Because also, like, when I told him that, then he went into this white savior mode where he was just like, if there's anything I can ever do, I'm like, I'm not telling you this because I want you to fucking do something for me. It's about educating me. I set an example for you so that next time when you see a black man like me, you don't just assume, you just meet me with an open mind because open mind is the only way to meet somebody that you
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Yeah.
And for him, it was a great education for him, right? And then we got into conversation. I'm like, it's okay for you not to know because I don't know shit
Yeah.
about you. And you don't expect me to just be like, because even right now, times even get harder because, like, a lot of people want to go by different pronouns and all of that. And that's also been really hard. And I'm just like, it's hard for you to expect people to just automatically get you, right? And that's the problem with people who want to just change their pronoun, or people want to identify. I'm like, yo, you guys can identify as whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a fuck. But what it is you should also give me the leisure. I've been programmed for 18 years that when I see a woman is a she, and I want to see a man is a he. I will always, when I see you and you be like, yo, I identify as they and them, I will automatically be like, okay, they and them. But also, you cannot be mad if I mess up and I call you she. Because just like how
Mm-hmm.
you expect me to give you the leeway and be like, you understand, you should also
Yeah.
give me the leeway and understand that I'm ignorant and I'm learning.
Yeah.
But
No
you
one's
also
gonna grow.
ignorant in
Yeah.
your way.
Yeah.
Exactly. You also ignorant in your way because you're not also allowing me to grow and get to know you and build a relationship. You
But
just
this is the thing.
automatically expect.
This is the thing that we crave. We crave. We really do, even though we don't do it as much, or hopefully we're doing it more over time. Is we should sit down with each other and basically humble ourselves to each person and say, listen, I don't really understand this, and be honest, and like, I don't understand this, tell me, rather than saying you fucked up, you did this. I'm like, listen, I didn't know this, it's not in my, you're right, programming. This is what I was used to
Yeah,
for so long, you know don't get mad at me if I make a mistake. You can tell if I'm being an asshole or not. And most people are not being assholes. They're like, you know, either misgendering somebody or anything like that. I don't think they're doing it out of hate or anything malicious.
I
But don't
oh
jump down people's throats, honestly. You know.
yep.
So at the end of the
And
day, we just need to, this, whether it's that conversation or the grand scheme of race, uh, gender, uh, culture, ethnicity, you name it. We have to have dialogue. We have to sit down
yep,
with each other. We have to have just open up and not assume shit. Assumptions will fuck up everybody's life. Any
something fucked
assumptions.
up everybody's
Just sit
life.
down and say, dude, I
And
don't know. What is this? I don't understand. What are you doing? Oh, I didn't even know. What are you? I didn't even know. You see, it's like things like that. Then I have a connection with you saying, oh, he might be black, but he's not only black. He's I don't know, from Angola or from South Africa or this tribe. I didn't know there are these tribes in even one single country. Like, you know what I mean? All these ethnicities in one. So your mind starts expanding when you
mhm.
humble yourself and sit down and say, listen, I want to get to know you, and
Pride
that's
is
what we need.
the great pride is like one of the greatest sins, and everybody suffers from that. Every single race, every single person suffers from that. The pride of belittling yourself, the pride of just thinking that you the shit. Pride. The seven deadly sins is one of the human's greatest, and us, the black community, our greatest sin is pride, because we're so prideful. Like our parents are the most prideful people. They will never accept their faults. They will never accept that they need help mentally because they went through a lot. You
Yeah.
came from a generation of people who just went through a lot. They were there during World War I, World War II. Like that's where our parents' mindset was. They were a place where we're not good enough, blah blah. And again, emotions pass on through genes. That perspective, all of that, that consciousness. Because again, my conscious being is what passing on to it. Like my child has a source of me. That's why sometimes I look at my child and I remember myself as my child has my conscious. She has the source of my being, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, because of that, if we don't sit there and take the time to understand and educate, not just yourself, educate your kids, then again, this is always gonna happen. That I'm offended. Oh, I'm hurt. Oh, I'm this. In the world that we live in, only one person. Like I remember, I was listening to this person. I don't know who it was, but it's basically when you go to like a conference or you're doing a presentation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a room full of 100 people or 1,000 people. You can do a presentation for fucking 10 hours. Maybe only one person actually heard the fucking shit that you said. But it's okay. It's not about trying to reach the masses. Because Jesus only had seven disciples. And from there, right now, Jesus comes, Jesus is not gonna walk around and be like, oh yeah, I remember you. No, Jesus is gonna be like, every single person that comes after his disciples, that's what it says. It's basically, he set up these places because he's like, bro, I can't go around trying to fucking heal everybody. I can't go around trying to be like I know everybody. No, these are the closest people to me. These are the seven pillars that I had stated, and from these seven pillars, these people are gonna go and spread my word. And it's like it's a domino effect. So it starts with small conversation. It's about starting one domino, and the domino will hit the other domino. But in the end, some dominoes never move. For example, he had the one person that even betrayed Jesus, the man that can fucking walk on water. That's in the Bible. And then you have stuff also happening like it's just every religion is different and it's just like perspectives are different. You can't expect people to just be like, oh, this is how you think. Oh, I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. People just are too sensitive and think people should care. We all are going through shit mentally,
Yeah.
physically, financially, spiritually. Right now, it's a spiritual war, a mental war, and we are in it.
Yeah.
Everybody's it's not they're not shooting guns anymore right now. It's all here. So it's like
Yeah.
depression and anxiety has risen. There's more deaths and all of that. Because now they don't have to be there and whoop you. You're dying mentally. There's a
Now,
lot of shit that's happening.
now, coming back to film. So
Yeah.
the process of how did you get, like in that process you were talking about earlier, how did you get to becoming right now? You are AC right now,
Yeah.
assistant camera person or camera. So first or second, depending on the production. So how did you get into that, and why? Like, what was that process? Like, what were you like? I got to do this, or did you come at it a different way?
For me, it's mostly like anything that's like get me closer to the place I'm trying to get to. Like the goal is director of photography, right? And I've tried different routes. I tried to actually join the NABAT as a lighting, learn blah blah blah. But this was a training as it came up. I applied again and again, but whenever what it is like I also notice in life, it's like if you want something, you just have to take it. They're never gonna give it to you, and if you ask nicely, you're never gonna get it. So when I got the opportunity to apply for 667. I just went at it and I told them exactly what I want. I was like, bro, I'm joining this program because I want to educate myself. I want to get better at what I do. I want to get rid of my imposter syndrome. This is what I want to do. So since then, joined the program. The program kind of like helped me kind of like know, okay, this is how it works, blah, blah, blah. And once I noticed that, that's when I started doing more freelance stuff. And then I started talking to people, and it's just like now I don't have the anxiety anymore. I know exactly what I'm doing and end up doing that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
also, people allow me, what I mean? Because again, it's all education. I've met a lot of first ACs who are willing to just teach me, like, oh, I'm prepping today. Come and set with me. Cool. We prep. I'm going to his gear. He's teaching me, oh, this is what I use. This is the Preston. This is how I put focus. And from there, that's what I learned. Because
Yeah.
in the job that we're in, the career that we're in, it's not one of those, bro. If somebody doesn't decide to like teach you, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody doesn't give you opportunity and be like, yo, this is how you do it, you will never know. And that's why for me, it's just like, just always education. Because you
You're
know,
forever student. You're always gonna if you tell yourself this is all I've learned and I don't need to learn anymore, that's bullshit. You're gonna learn to the day you die, and if you accept that, then the world is open to you.
yeah, and that's how I've lived my life. I've lived my life. I'm a person. I'm just like, I'm never above people. Even if I know, I shut the fuck up and listen. I'm like, what else can you teach me?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that mindset of being very open, and people know that I'm very open, I'm also I'm a person. I'm like, I don't need you to tell me I'm hardworking. But I'm here to work. I'm here to work. I don't need you to tell me, and people see that. Right? So every time I'm at work, I'm in it. I'm blah blah. Somebody's like, yo, you wanna come on my set and work for me? Blah blah. And I'm like, I already shoot. And also because I shoot my own stuff, also gives me opportunity to constantly work and also bring people on and also pass the education. And wow, I'm educating myself, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically how it has been. Just getting opportunities with people who are willing to educate me and just going for it. And just being like, I just want to do it, so I'm gonna do it myself. And you gotta be a go-getter. The world will never give you what you want. Like whenever I drive, driving itself is a great education for metaphor of life. Kind of go into a different lane. Listen, that person will never let you in. If you don't force yourself in, that person will never let you in. You can signal for fucking 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's gonna give a fuck.
Yeah.
You have to force your way in. And what it is I forced myself to get exactly what I want. And I told myself I want to be a director of photography. And to be a director of the photography is a very demanding job. But for that, I need to educate myself. And for me, I'm a very technical person. I'm a visually technical person. I see stuff and I need it to happen. But I'm like, how do I make it happen?
Mm-hmm.
So from there, right now, I'm working. This year, I've shot at least 5 films of my own, just DP and blah, blah, blah. But then I'm also seeing. And I've learned that the only way to be successful in this industry is like what you're good at. People only hire you on what you're good at. It's
Yeah.
not like a job where you bring in a resume, but people just like fuck all that.
Oh,
Can
it's
you do
proof
the
of
job?
work. It's proof of work. Proof of concept.
Yeah, but it's also like, can you do the job?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, if you can do the job and you can show people you can do the job, that's it. So if you want to be a first AC, bro, tell a friend, bro, let's do something. I put small focus. It's not even that you want me to assist it. That's the small things of knowing. Because you do the basic small things of like you doing your self assist, then you go on the bigger set. It's kind of similar. You just have to learn the industry standards. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
how basically that's been. Yeah.
So right now you have your own production company. What's the name of it?
And that's the same production.
And you're producing what kind of content specifically, or is it just more wide-ranging content?
It's more wide range. I do a lot of music videos, fashion videos, but right now I'm very focused on creating like narrative, short
Mm-hmm.
films. Just I want my production company just to be like, you're trying to do a commercial, like, yo, these are the people I can trust, right? So I'm just creating. But right now it's just like short films, narrative,
Yeah.
web series, kind of very focused on producing my web series. And but the goal of the production company is going back home. Like my goal is going home to teach a program. So to teach that program, I just want to be most really as educated as I can,
Mm-hmm.
and start my own whites back home. I call it blacks,
Yeah.
blacks production.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
No, dude, because this is the so for example, I was talking to another person on another episode and referring to Rob. Actually, Rob.
Probably, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Rob. So we're talking about how a lot of our countries, like back home in Africa, when they think of films, they only think of like Hollywood white and things like that, or sometimes Asian films, like the combat films and all that stuff. But there's a lot of there's a lot of opportunity to produce these movies at that same or similar caliber, and there's a lot of, let's be honest, private investors that can actually get into this whole thing, but they didn't know that they could get into this whole thing. You know what I mean? So there's also this disconnect that I hope through these episodes and things like that, that there's money out there. If you want to make something and you're good at it and you have the concept, you proof, all these things. There's people back home that are wealthy people that are willing to invest in these projects. You know what I'm trying to say? But you know, it's there's so much opportunity back home. Granted, it's not for everybody. Some people just want to stay here. I'm half and half here and there, but
Yeah.
there's so much opportunities back home as well.
And it's also going to a place that don't have. I always say is I live in a country that's like fucking every day there's a new cinematographer, right? I don't want to be in competition. You don't want to join the masses, right? But you go to the place where they're starting, right? And if, back home, it's always back home is always Africa is always a gold mine,
Mm-hmm.
a gold mine of evolution, a gold mine of because you guys have not been allowed to do shit. Because of that, there's so much potential, the potential for growth, the potential to start something new,
It's
the potential of
underdeveloped.
already it's underdeveloped. The potential of looking at something from a different eye.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it is like internet already exists. But let's say if Africans attack internet by like, yo, we're gonna create our own internet, right? If we had to do that, there's already a database for you to use, the internet that already exists. How do you create your own thing? It's also there's nothing new under the sun. How do you develop it on your own way, right? And that's what my production company is focused on. Me, I'm trying to go home and just put the power in the hands of the kids because what it is creativity has also been one of like the biggest ooh, don't do it in Africa. But then we always forget that Africans were the most creative people. That's what was able to build Egypt. We were able to build the Mali Empire. All of it's all creativity, right? But when white people came, they took that away from us and made us.
It's a no, because it's what it is they when they think of the word creativity, or at least from a perspective, it's they think of white kids and all these other things, like becoming poor or being a poor artist. Yes, there is connotations of that. Being a creative person, you're going to struggle, and yes,
Yeah,
but that is the journey of a creative person, is to persevere, because it's a lonely, it can be a lonely journey.
yeah,
I'm trying to say, it's because it's also inward. You have to go inward, pull shit from your chest and your heart, your mind, and you're pulling it and you're trying to bring that thing to reality. And that's
yeah,
not an easy thing to do. You know, it's like the hermit. The whole tradition of
yeah,
the hermit. They go out, they go inward, and then they come back to the society with this new fucking cool thing.
yeah.
But you have to be lonely, sadly, for a while. It's not always the case, but
Hmm.
if you're lucky, it's fucking amazing, and you have people around you. But the connotation of African parents looking at being a creative is negative, even though they don't realize that the shit that they brought, to Canada or whatever, like the statues, the African statues, or the clothing, someone creative made that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they're not connecting those two things. The things that they
Everything is
praise,
creative.
the thing that they praise on the walls and say, this is our culture, this is our culture. These creative people made that culture.
Everything from the light bulb is a creative mind. From
Yeah.
the food that you eat, like business is creativity. Just because it's called entrepreneurship doesn't mean it's not creativity. Because you gotta be a creative person to be like, yo, I want to start a business and this is what I do. Because it's also a very lonely route.
Hmm.
To be what it is like our parents are scared to take risk.
Hmm.
That's the problem of the community. Scared to take risk.
But that's
Scared to
weird.
be like,
It's contradiction, though. They took
mm-hmm,
risk to come here,
exactly.
and yet they stopped taking risks. The moment they got there,
Exactly.
they just stopped.
Because it's the comfortability. They get here and then the government tell them, oh, you can be a nurse and work in a fucking nurse and take care of my white people, parents. Oh, you can work in my factory and you can make $14 an hour. And for them, because they came from a country where nothing, they couldn't even make nothing. $14 sounds like heaven to them, but they don't understand that you live in a different country and it has different laws. And if you want to succeed, $14 is not going to do shit for you, right? But they're not educated. Ignorance. It's the lack of education. And because of that, it once you put yourself in a place of ignorance and you stay in there for a long time, it's hard for you to change,
Hmm.
right? And that's been the problem. So for
So,
me, I'm like, bro, we sit on a fucking gold mine in Africa, like Ghana, we sit on a gold mine. The film industry can do so much. There's
hmm
so much stories that's not told by Black voices, by Africans. That's why when I watch the movie like Wakanda, I'm like the fuck out of here. I did not like Wakanda. I'm like, that was a terrible representation because again, it was the white savior shit. Wakanda was hidden for all Africans, and then a white guy came all of a sudden, open the fucking door, blah blah blah. And you're like, oh, so all the niggas that was dying, never thought about let's bring one again. No, and that's why I fuck with Michael B. Jordan's character. I'm like, 'cause it's a great representation of the spirit of the black man who's hungry to succeed, who's hungry to take whatever the fuck that he wants because he deserves it. not just deserve, because the world wasn't made for one person. The world was made for all of us.
Well, the
And if you
thing
want
is,
something, you have to take it.
the projection, the perception of a powerful African nation that is technologically advanced is beautiful, but the whole aspect of being nationalistic to the point where you're not helping your fellow neighbors if they have any issues,
Mm-mm.
or you know what I mean, that doesn't seem
Yeah.
very African, because when you look at African culture and African thing, we've invited so many people into Africa. Think about it. And in that regard, it's there's something about like everything, every shitty thing that we've been given outside of Africa to us, we've made it more beautiful, more
Mm-hmm.
spiritual. And even religions that came out of it, like it's like we've took it and they were like, okay, this is something new, and they were like, okay, we make it into this new thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem, the whole nationalistic part of Wakanda and things doesn't vibe 100%
Doesn't.
with me. You know what I'm trying to say? It's good
Yeah.
to be strong and good to be stern, but at the same time, you're not helping anyone else with all that technology. You can cure shit. You can't. It sounds
It's keeping it to
more,
yourself.
yeah, it sounds like a more of a famine mentality,
Mm-hmm.
European aspect thing, you know,
That's like
because
that's a European mindset.
because
Only
yeah,
white people do stuff
because
like that.
yeah, because the whole thing is like when you're in Africa, the seasons are really just two, dry season and wet season. Where if you're in Europe, you have winter, so you always have to prepare for the next season. So you have this fear mentality of I have to scrounge, I have to fucking save, I have to do this, I have to do this. Fuck that person, fuck this person. I gotta, you know what I'm trying to say? That hoarding, fear, famine mentality,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that doesn't vibe in an African, even African civilizations. Mansa
Mm-hmm.
Musa giving money to people, like it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
What do you think right now us black people suffering? Because again, what it is like we in a white man's world, right? But as black people, as Africans, again, when I think of a movie like Black Panther represents a tokenized black man who thinks, and a lot of black people are always like, because I've created my circle, nobody else is allowed in my circle, and fuck everybody else. And that's what it is. They're like, oh, we have discovered a technology, but fuck every African. Again, like I say, it's a famine mindset. White
Mm-hmm.
people came from a place of it's you have winter and you have summer, and because of that, they were like, mine,
Yeah, before it
fuck
gets winter
everything
again.
else,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And that's the same mindset they brought to when they came to Africa. They were just like, these niggas, that's mine.
yeah,
Fuck all you niggas, right? And as Africans, because we were put into a place of giving and always giving, we had a small bickering tribal war, but we will
yeah,
always share. Because even the tribes are a reflection of each other. Every single tribe is always a reflection of each other. They will have either something that's
yeah.
similar
Well, yeah.
and all of that.
Well, we're not. The thing is, we're not perfect as well. Like I know for a fact we're not perfect tribally and things like that. But even biology-wise, like you have, if you have sun all year round, look at the countries that are more like equator, closer to the equator. For the most part, if they were left alone, they would have less, like on average they would have less wars and things like that. But when you bring a different mentality that is a famine mentality that doesn't
Hmm.
vibe with this, you know, vitamin D rich happy endorphins, like all these other good hormones, like people are chill. Look at these, look at African tribes that are not more modern. They're collectivists, meaning I get something, I'm going to share with my family without even worrying about like, do I have to share this? No, no, here's my brother, I want him to eat it too. You know, it's, so when you bring these other mentalities into this whole system, or you're taught this mentality that doesn't really vibe with you, that's the issue that we're facing in Africa. You have all these European
Yeah.
mindsets that are famine, like I'm gonna fuck my brother over, or if you don't comply with, I don't know, some European country that is, you know, putting a new president in for you, you know, to, because he's the person that is gonna give them money in return. But if you go against them, they destroy you. They, IMF comes and the whole, that's a whole other topic, by the way. I can get into.
It's the reverse psychology. The reverse psychology where Africans are always important, but they never export.
Yeah,
But then we live in the world of they get everything from us, but they don't. It's a fucked up system that
Europe would die
without Africa.
without African resources.
Yeah, I think Western
Western
society will
society, yeah, cell
die.
phones, all this other stuff, like
Because
technology.
again, bro, we're sitting on a fucking good, and that's why like Wakanda, that movie also showed how black people, like, they know what they're doing. They know what they're sitting on. There's a reason why they can't get rid of. It's like black people right now for the people who control the masses. Is black people are the people where they need, but they treat like they don't need it. Because you have to make the victim take. You have to make the victim think
It's like Stockholm
that they.
syndrome. It's like
Hmm.
you need them to accept the program willingly
Hmm.
and crave it and demand it. You know.
Why do you think there's so many Africans crossing the desert to go to Dubai just to die? And
Yeah,
I
they get
have a
treated like
movie that,
shit.
yeah,
Hmm.
and it's sad. It's very sad. It's very sad. And I actually have one of my first feature film is actually about that. And once if I get the funding, that's what I'm trying to do. But it's just very sad. It's a very sad place that we put it in. And I think that's I was even having a conversation with Carter today. I was like, in the world that we live in, it's like it's like seeing a baby walk into a wall, and Africans are babies. They walk into a wall, and instead of white people just fucking off and just mind their own business and just leaving the baby for the baby to go and hit the baby to hit his head on the wall, and then the baby to cry. So next time when it sees the wall, it knows when that, oh, when I hit my head on the wall, that shit hurts. I'm not doing that shit again. White people then come in to do the whole white savior thing. Like, oh no, 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 turn around. And because of that, the baby never learned itself that that's pain, right? It's like, oh, somebody else. And then that's why as Africans, we are very sheltered to white people, where we are the constant, because white people are told us like, we're the same people that put you to slavery, but we're the same people trying to save you. We're gonna bring you food, we're gonna bring you perspective, we're gonna tell you this is blah blah blah. That's all complete shit. Because that's the white man's perspective. That's the that like I said, that's the realm, like, oh, this is mine, this is your leave us be. Take your shit and get out. I'm telling you, if white people ever decided, something, we're gonna leave Africans alone for 20 years. We're never gonna interact with Africa.
But
We're not gonna deal with
it's not
Africa
gonna
for
happen.
it's
The
never
sad
gonna
reality,
happen.
because also China's in the game. China's in the game, man.
Bro, and Taiwan is the new superpower. Like people are scared of white people. You should be scared of fucking China. China is gonna be one of the biggest, like in 5 years from now.
Not.
China is gonna be the it's not even 5 years, it's already
It's
happening.
already
China
happening.
is
They
China
built.
is
I
this
think it was the African Union or one of the African organizations. They built their building for them free of charge, and then when they went into the building and checked the walls, it had listening devices all over the building, and then their network system and it literally was rerouted. It had a backdoor to it to go straight to China, to listen, and
of
it was like
course,
espionage. It was crazy, but that's a whole other
of
thing. I can get
course.
into this whole thing, but so let's come back to
Yeah.
film and Toronto. So let's like bring this down to you're leaving or you want to leave. Your end goal is to get out of essentially Canada and create a better, brand new opportunity in an emerging market in Africa, in
Yeah.
film and television and things like that. And what is your current? I asked this to a lot of the film people, and I know. What is your view of the Canadian industry,
The Canadian
like film
is a
industry?
very
Yeah, film and television
the
and stuff like
Canadian
that.
film industry is very interesting because it's just like because like majority of films are shot in like Canada, but people never give Canada the the big up, right? It's like nobody ever respects Canada. It's like we're like the cousin of America that nobody ever sees that exists, but we do all the work. Literally do all the work, and that's why like artists in Canada suffer more because what it is it's just you put in so much work and you still like people still have to go to the States to work and do stuff and all that, right? I think Canada's in a great place. Like, I'm very happy that my dad chose Canada over America.
Mm-hmm.
Because as bad as Canada is, Canada also is a great place, especially because of the support.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the financial support, all that. So I think Canada for sure, especially for Toronto. Toronto's going to a place where we are gonna be the next like Hollywood. Like everything is shot here, everything is being made here, like everything is being brought here now, right? So Toronto's gonna be huge for film. So that's basically my perspective on like because the film industry in Canada is weird. It's always so hard to fucking keep up. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it though.
I People know that I have a lot to say about it. It's I they can listen to other episodes, like when I talk to Rob or talk to Lauren and other people. it's a love hate thing for me in this country and in this industry and other similar industries that are adjacent to it. Um, I'll just say this: on a surface level, it's good, but the problem is a lot of these productions that are being filmed here, well, not here, I'm in the U.S. right currently, but filmed back in Toronto, is all American productions with
Yeah.
some Canadian crew. You know what I'm trying to say? So that sounds awesome, but at the end of the day, where are the Canadian productions that are large Canadian productions that are just Canadian and Canadian um, intellectual properties like IP? Where's the Canadian IP? You know what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we need more of that. We need more original Canadian IP that is created in Canada from Canada and take risks. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I think what was it? There was a show by the director that I know, RT. They used to do music videos back in days and stuff like that. And he did a show. I think I forgot the name of it. Don't hate me for forgetting the name. But it was on Hulu. It was about music. It was about sci-fi, and he's Canadian. It was a Canadian production. Obviously helped with the American,
What's
but
it called?
it
I think I know the show you're talking
yeah, it was
about.
on CBC. It was on Hulu. It was on a
I've
couple of
never
other.
seen it, but I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about because
like
I
we
follow
need
the
more things like
director.
that. But I've heard it took a long time to even just get to that point. But the fact that out of my head, there's only that took a lot of risks. And yes, there's stuff like Kim's Convenience and more Canadian things and like
Chef's
understandable.
Creek and
Schitt's
all that.
Creek, yeah. But we need more out there creative shit. We need more shit that is not U.S. productions filmed in Canada. We need Canadian productions filmed here. Well, keep saying here, but yeah, filmed in Toronto. And that's my beef. We need more of that, and we
Give
need
me,
to get away from
give
the
me one
CBC.
second.
Yeah,
My daughter just got up. I might just get her. 1 second.
yep. But yeah, so Canada's good, and Canada has its issues, and it needs to improve.
First,
You know,
yeah,
and so Tony, man, I don't know when you're gonna leave. When are you leaving? Or trying to leave?
Wednesday.
Oh, you're leaving
I'm
this
leaving this.
coming Wednesday, and I'm coming.
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
coming back on Friday. I know. I
But
know. I know.
how long were you gone for?
I was gone for like most of this month, pretty much,
Bro,
and and then I might leave again after the winter, maybe. But
are you going? Are you down there for a gig or is it you just vacating, doing your own
oh, I
thing?
have family here too. I have family. Yeah,
Oh yeah, because you said you were in the States first before you came to Canada.
yeah. Because in the beginning of the year, I was here writing on a project, and then
Oh,
I
okay.
I came back to Toronto, and then more recently I left again from Toronto. But no, so you're leaving on Wednesday. That's fucking dope. And you're going to was it Ghana?
Yeah, Ghana. I'm also going for a funeral, but it's also going to lay some roots in some places, see what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
see what projects I can start back home. So I come here, brainwash for a bit, make money, and go make moves.
Yeah,
That's
man.
the plan.
Yeah, so you're
I
gonna
love
leave.
film, but
Yeah.
I can't really sustain a film. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah, you need to build a something, a business, and or something like that. That you know. Yeah. Well, tell.
Because
Sorry. Go ahead. Yep.
cause I'm like, cause film can be quite draining, and like I love film, but I'm like, I'm not trying to dedicate my whole life every single day. I'm supposed to be at work 14 days, 12 hours, bro. It's draining, and I can't do that, man. I need a form of like, let's say if I take a break, I'm like, I still got money income, and I can still pay rent and all that, you know.
Yeah.
It's that shit drains the soul, not just physically it drains the soul. You just don't have any like, yeah, right now because like since my daughter was born, trying to just take it easy. She's five, she's literally she turned 6 months today.
Mm.
Pretty soon, by next year, she's gonna be good enough. Take her to daycare, and when that happens, that's when trying to go ham, just focus and just like really developing my craft and just no more all my camera system, straight going for DPing, straight getting jobs as a DP, focus on DPing.
Yeah.
Trying to work for CFC for a bit so I can build myself, and then after that, just get jobs with the DPing because there's the white boys out here who barely educated, but they're getting paid, and that's the funny part. So
No,
I've
the
taken too
industry's
much
funny.
routes.
The industry's a
Yeah,
funny thing, and we can get
yeah,
into it. We'll talk again, like another point.
yes, sir.
But no, yeah, tell people where they can find you, your Instagram and everything like
Uh,
that.
oh yeah, you can find me on social media at Byananse. You can find me at, on email, last name t at gmail.com. I have oh you can find me on my production page, 9% production.
Hmm.
not a very social media person,
Yeah.
but if you send me a text, I'm gonna be there to say hello.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
So
you
I'll
can
put
find me there.
yeah, I'll put all that down in the description below to find you and everything, brother.
Yes, sir. I appreciate this, man. I enjoyed this conversation.
Me too,
It's a
brother.
great talk.
All right,
Nice to
brother.
see your perspective.
I'll see you if we miss each other again in Toronto, but we'll make it happen. Don't worry. We'll see
Yeah,
each other.
we'll link up when I come again. I love the conversation, so I love to get more into it,
Yeah.
see what else we can. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. Literally, the only reason why she wanted to come here because she's seen them on the screen and she's like, "What is this? What is going on?" Technology babies.
Yeah, they're so aware. Well, brother, till next time. I'm
Yes, sir.
Mai. You're
Yes,
Tony.
Tony.
There
I'm
you go.
Tony. I go by Byananse.
There you go.
It's nice. Thank you for having me, man. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
man.
This was a great talk. I hope you have a safe flight back. Have a great rest of your. Is it day? It's night
Oh,
over
we're in the
there.
same time zone. We're in the same time zone.
Oh,
East Coast, yeah.
see, I'm ignorant. I don't
No,
keep
it's
track.
all good. Yeah. All right,
Yeah,
brother.
man.
Till next time.
Have a great rest of your night.
You too, brother.
Thank you. God
Peace.
bless. Peace.
Bye.
Oh, don't forget to check out the store at acidxtone.com.